Paul Mcbeth shoots 18 under once again. Is the PDGA to blame? Let's talk about it. Yo, what is up, you guys? I'm Bruno, and today we're going to be going over Paul Mcbeth's 18 under round, the second 18 under round. Now, I've already made a video covering the first one. I didn't really go into depth like I'm going to do in this video, so if you want to go check that out, it's in the description below so you can see what I say about that. But this is actually going to be different. And before we actually get into the round, also if you want to check out the original video of Jomez Productions and Paul Mcbeth shooting 18 under, the compilation from that round, go ahead and check that out. That's also in the description down below. They make great content. 100,000 subscribers. I remember when they had a 10K. Anyways, before we watch the video and discuss it, I'm only going to go over 3 holes to save you guys some time instead of making this like a 40-minute video, because I could talk about this all day long. Let's go over the par guidelines for the PDGA. So this is the most recent par guidelines. If you go to PDGA.com, this is the last updated par guidelines. And honestly, when you look at it, it looks pretty good. So, you know, they have distances, and if there's light, heavy foliage, blah, 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 etc. Paul Mcbeth is over 10,000 rated, so he is in this category, right? So, basically, if there's not very many trees or anything, I don't really know what they consider heavy foliage. I'm guessing like in the woods, you know, tough drive, etc. I assume that's what they mean by heavy. And light, I mean, I assume that means out in the field. Maybe there's a couple trees, right? Maybe there's no foliage, no trees, anything at all. And that goes all the way up to about 700. Everything below that is basically a par 3, unless it's, you know, in the woods and there's a lot of obstacles and stuff like that. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into a few holes from this round where Paul Mcbeth shoots 18 down. Now, I'm not saying Paul Mcbeth didn't play amazing, and he obviously beat the other top pros on his card. I'm just going to say right away that the PDGA needs to go over the card pars and change them according to the course, because having someone play on the casual pars is just not okay. I mean, with these pars set in place, someone could shoot 22 down. Paul Mcbeth did not have a perfect round. He's missed a few, at least 2 or 3 putts, and I'm not saying that, you know, I could go and shoot better, right? Maybe if I was like the best day of my life, but I'm just saying, like, this is just to get publicity, in my opinion, and he didn't really shoot 18 down. Now, he obviously won the tournament or whatever, and congrats to Paul Mcbeth, but I feel like this is just like trying to get people's attention, and people are so impressed by it, but they don't even realize that they're playing like the 900 rating par, in my opinion. So let's go take a look. So this first hole is actually kind of far that we're going to be looking at. So it's hole 2 of this course. Par 4, 616. Now, does this look like heavy foliage to you? Are we in the woods? Like, is there a really short, tight route you have to go? Not exactly. You can go this way, you can go over here. You can go way out there. You don't actually get to see all the different routes, but there's really not that many trees, and there's a bunch of huge gaps that you can throw through. And not only that, but these pros at 100, I mean not 100,000. These pros at 1,000 rating, they can at least throw 500, 600. The fact that this is a par 4 means that if Paul Mcbeth wants a birdie, all he has to do is play safe and lay up. I'm not saying that he had a bad drive or anything, but you can see, like, after, like, he didn't even throw an amazing drive, right? Like, he didn't grip on it, he just kind of like laid it up. That's what it looked like. He didn't really put any effort into it at all. And from here, he's like 120 out. So clearly this is a mistake. This should be a par 3. And if you think I'm wrong, comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think. Let's go on to the next hole. Okay, now we're at the next hole that I want to talk about. And honestly, if you go through this round, you're going to see a lot of holes that you probably will think, okay, they need to change this. This is not right. It should be a par lower or something like that, because they're not playing in the right rating par guidelines. Now, I'm not going to go through all the holes because there are way too many on this round to cover, but I'm just going to cover the ones that I think need to be talked about. Okay, so hole 4 is 441 feet, and there's a few trees, and we're in the woods, okay? But there's nothing too pressing. So you'll see when we get to the tee what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm gonna play some of the audio from the video as well.
Work something into that green.
Exactly. I just grabbed a buzz here.
Okay, so Paul Mcbeth is throwing a mid-ranger on a 441 foot hole, and you can see that there's not like a huge ceiling or anything like that, so you could argue that this is heavy foliage, but let's just see how easy it is for him to get a birdie on this hole.
I tried to throw it with a slight...
Let me mute it, sorry. Okay, so Paul Mcbeth is throwing a mid-range super low, and all it is, he's just throwing a hyzer around the corner. Now, okay, that was an amazing like skip sequence there, and a nice little roll. So that was probably a 300-foot drive around the corner. Now, anyone who can throw, so if he wanted to throw sidearm, I'm sure he could be up where that person in the red shirt is over here. And like you guessed it, I agree that this is a par 3. Not only is it a short distance, especially for the top disc golf players in the world, but this isn't heavy foliage. There's clear lines. There's not like it's not like poke and pray or anything like that. Of course, it would be easy to mess up, but if Paul Mcbeth wanted to throw sidearm and just throw an S down there, he could be sitting, you know, by that skinny tree right here. I could imagine, you know, it like S and hyzer and then hyzer and then skips all the way up to this skinny tree. I could imagine that, right? And he's putting like 40, 50 feet out. And Paul Mcbeth is an amazing putter, so really no problem. It's just layup golf the entire game, and he's not having to risk anything to get a birdie. It's just really boring to me. Like I feel like we're not seeing the max skill from Paul Mcbeth. He's not forced to, you know, go for these crazy shots. Now, let's go on to the next hole that I definitely want to talk about. Alright, so the very last hole that I definitely want to talk about, and that clearly violates the par guidelines for this tournament, is hole 18 at Brazos Park East. And I've never played here, I don't know anything about it. If you guys know or have played there, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear anything about it. This is 492, 0 trees in sight, par 4, and it's clearly supposed to be a par 3. Not only that, but if you were a noob, obviously you probably can't throw over the water, right? That's pretty far distance. Unless you throw far right, it looks like you have some room there. But you could throw dead straight. We'll see in a second when Paul Mcbeth gets up to the tee here. So right before he throws, I'm definitely going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so from this pad, so Paul Mcbeth has a huge arm, okay? We're not going to argue that. But if you were a noob or something, you could just throw it dead straight down the fairway over here and then lay up for a birdie. You could get a birdie if you're a noob. Now, obviously, it'd be hard to get an eagle unless you're a pro or you throw really far. And you don't want to risk losing your disc in the water, of course. But I think an AM3 could get a birdie on this hole. All they have to do is get a 3. This is a par 3, in my opinion, at least for the 1,000 rating. And clearly, Paul Mcbeth has a huge arm, so he's going for the over the water. And this par 3 is actually an eagle form. I just think that the people are so impressed by this round, and the PDGA, they're just not following the PDGA guidelines, whoever is doing these tournaments. And clearly, these are like the top tournaments to watch. I mean, they need to reevaluate, at least for these pro tournaments. Like, these are the top players in the world. I don't want to see Paul Mcbeth sandbagging the whole round. I want to see him going for those, you know, hyzer flip shots on those crazy holes because he wants to get a birdie, because he has to catch up. You know, I don't want to see someone laying up the entire round. I'm not saying he played bad. Obviously, he played better than Paul Ulibarri, and James Conrad. Like, these are some great players on the card. But at the same time, it wasn't like a perfect round by any means. But you know, on the internet, it's portrayed as, oh, shoots 18 under par. Like, this is like a sacred. You'll never hear about this again. You know what I mean? This is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And you know why he got it again? It's because they didn't follow the PDGA par guidelines. I would advise you, if you're watching this video and you're going to argue with me, please go through this whole round. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'd love to hear what you say. There's a lot of par 4s, par 5s. I will say that some of the par 4s and par 5s are actually what they say. Before we go, let's actually just go look at this one. I would love to show you this one. Okay, 558. This is one that I should have included before. So, 558, par 4. So clearly it's supposed to be par 3. There's no foliage. It looks like there's some OB or hazards or something, but there's definitely no foliage. Definitely light foliage. And let me just show you how far Paul Mcbeth throws it. So not only is this misleading, it's not actually 558, and you'll see why in just a second here. So I'm not saying he had a bad drive by any means, right? I'm pretty sure this is some OB that he's playing around. So this post says he threw it 200 feet. This is more than halfway down the fairway. As you can see, Paul Mcbeth is holding it like a putter or mid-range. He's just stepping up. He's barely throwing it. He didn't put any heat on it. And he's already parked. So there's no way this is 558. I mean, okay, I'm going to personally say this. I think that the PDGA, if they're behind this tournament and Jonas Productions, I think they're purposely trying to like fluctuate these numbers so people become more interested in disc golf. Now that's just my opinion, and I would rather have more of an honest and like people playing hard and people using their, you know, max skill potential instead of, you know, these fluctuated numbers that are clearly fake and not true. I don't know if this really is 558. Obviously from the video it's impossible to tell exactly what's going on, but this par is definitely wrong by the PDGA guidelines for par. And if that post was really 200 feet, I can't imagine that he threw it 358 feet with like, it's like a putter. He threw like this. He threw a putter, and you saw it was like a soft hyzer. He just walked up and went like that. He didn't rip on it. I honestly think this is a lie, and this is definitely wrong. But when you hear Paul talk about the round and stuff, he does say like this is perfect round, blah blah blah. So you can't blame him for this round. You have to blame the PDGA, the people running the tournament, and even Jonas Productions for posting this video. But I do like Jonas Productions. I'm not saying they do anything wrong. I'm not saying it's his fault, but he is the one who is trying to hype this up. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Peace.